Ladies and gentlemen, this is a live visual of everyone in the XRP community looking and checking for the XRP price 589 times a day. Who can relate? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. And there's a lot of things in this video that I want to talk about that we have been right about. But first, I have a very brief message. Something that I'm very well aware of, and something a lot of you guys, some of my biggest fans, have been pointing out to me, is the fact that my content has changed over the past year. And I'm going to give all of you a bit of a declaration in this video. Since 2022, where I incorrectly projected that an altcoin season could be coming, that was a tough time in the crypto market for me, because not only was that wrong, it was so incorrect. I saw 75 to 80% retracement from the peak of the bull market in my portfolio, and I also felt the pain of the community that was waiting on an altcoin cycle as well. That made me zero in on nothing but doing a lot of work to make sure that I get things right. Because let me tell you this, we can never be wrong again. Ladies and gentlemen, I refuse to be wrong on pinpointing this market again. We cannot afford, with either time or money, to be wrong again. And because of that, I've been doing nothing but work, nothing but networking, nothing but harnessing my skills to ensure that we get this fucking market right. And we have been more accurate and on the money recently. If you all remember, 2021 was a year we got completely accurate on this channel. But 2022 was a humbling year. I expect 2023 and beyond to be something we continue to get accurate on this channel and beyond every single day. But something I do want to get back to is getting back to the free-spirited, easygoing bull that gives you some hilarious introductions, because quite frankly, we all need a little humor and a little more fun during this shit show of a crypto market that we've all been going through. That's something you guys can all be expecting soon. And in addition, I do have a powerful post that I will be giving out to the community shortly about my projection of where this market is going to go. And I'll have that ready for every single one of you tomorrow. Now, with all that being said, here we have that Blackrock and Fidelity Spot Bitcoin ETF applications hit a roadblock with the SEC citing insufficient details. Ladies and gentlemen, didn't I tell you that Blackrock filing for an ETF was a bit of a bull trap? I 100% did. They file for the application, give you the bullish news, and somehow, some way, they take it all back, as Bitcoin has dropped 3% over the past day. And because of this pullback, I now believe that we're going to see a change in the sentiment. I now believe that they're going to fix the application and still get more people involved in this market to give us the final retracement we need to see in the upwards direction before it's lights out in September, October. Let's see if that specific timeline plays out the way I think I do. But I think it will. And I think a lot of you see that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, why? Why did the SEC deny this application? Well, let's not be naive. I think John Deaton put it best. This is exactly what the judge in the Ripple case was alluding to when she said SEC lawyers are not maintaining a faithful allegiance to the law. You're supposed to have a good faith basis to bring a case, meaning you believe you can win by applying the law. You don't wait until a judge tells you otherwise. And former SEC Chair Jay Clayton describes the new, deeply un-American ethos of the SEC. where Gary Gensler believes if we're not losing cases, we aren't suing enough businesses. Even the chairman of the SEC that brought the case against Ripple believes this is a total abuse of power. Even Jay Clayton with the Ethereum conflicts of interest thinks Gary Gensler is abusing his power. And as hypocritical as this is, it's very interesting to listen to him say this.
Let's take this to a very high level on the regulatory side. What you're hearing from the leaders of the regulatory organizations is if we're not losing cases, if we're not being pushed back on by the courts, we're not doing enough. Think about that for a second. That is a fundamental shift in how we as Americans view the role of the government. I don't want to be in a place where I know the government is going to bring cases they think they're going to lose. Imagine you're the person who is the subject of that case. Now, we're talking about corporations.
Yeah, to see if they can. And if they're not stopped, they're going to, yeah.
Right, but this is an ethos now, which is unless we're losing, we're not bringing enough cases. That may be fine for private litigants against each other and think about it. But when you have the power of the state, and you're supposed to only bring cases and only make rules that you think are going to pass judicial muster.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's so interesting to watch Jay Clayton and all his corruption talk shit about Gary Gensler and all his corruption. You see, guys, Monica Long, ever since she's become president at Ripple, has been one of my favorite people in crypto to listen to, because what she says in this clip is 100% correct. Ripple has been around for, I believe, over 10 years now. And because of this, Ripple has seen the evolution in the sentiment of the financial system, of the banking system, towards digital assets and this crypto technology. She quite literally says banks need to adapt or die. And I think Gary Gensler is here to act as financial quicksand for the SEC, for incumbents to be able to try and catch up and capture a bigger portion of this industry than they would originally have captured. This is extremely important to note. Incumbents don't want to lose. They have the money. They had the infrastructure. They want to be at the front of the line of the next revolution. And they're doing anything they can to do that and to halt progress in its place. Currently, they're succeeding. But I believe there's going to be a moment where they start to fail. We're seeing the cracks in the system happening in real time. But I do want you to listen to her and what she had to say about it.
It's really interesting to look backward. We started this journey of working with financial institutions in 2015. We would walk into banks. The original pitch was this idea of you can create an account on a public blockchain called XRP Ledger. It has a built-in decentralized exchange. This would be a very efficient way for you to conduct cross-border payments, provide you a lot more transparency. This was right after Mt. Gox collapse and Silk Road bust. You could guess that the banks generally slammed the doors in our faces. The timing was off. Since then, over the years, crypto as a market expanded a lot. There's been a much warmer embrace across the institutional world. The past couple of years have been a real tipping point for institutional DeFi, where you see even the biggest banks embracing this technology as the future, and they have to adapt or die.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, adapt or die. That is the phrase of the day. Adapt or die is the warning for the United States. Here, we have Anders Lundberg posting the top 20 crypto hub cities in the world. And London and Dubai top that list. But you know what's absolute bullshit is that New York City is on this list because New York City is probably one of the worst places to do anything crypto related at all. You can't go on exchanges if you're a retail investor. It's hard to open a crypto business if you have one. And this is a lie. Miami is a much better option, but we're not going to argue about that right now. We're just going to talk about London. We're going to talk about the international hubs like Hong Kong and Singapore. We're going to talk about how the United States is dropping the ball here. And the reason we're going to talk about that is because quite literally, all these businesses that are getting sued, like Coinbase, like Binance, like even potentially Ripple. They could all want to leave at some given point. Entrepreneurs and innovators are some of the most creative people on the planet, and they will find a way around to give themselves the best environment to succeed in. The United States and specifically the SEC have made a hostile environment to be here in America for the fourth industrial revolution. And you better believe, if you're a retail investor and if you are a crypto entrepreneur, your best option will be overseas right now. I don't like the fact that this is the case, but I can't deny reality. I pray that someday soon, especially after this Ripple ruling, that the SEC has power taken back. Congress reins in the crypto industry and provides clarity as far as laws are concerned. And innovation in the United States can finally thrive. But as for right now, I will warn all of you. Exchanges like KuCoin asking for strict KYC is not a good sign. A lot of US citizens are going to lose access to a lot of crypto exchanges in the coming months. And all I'm going to say is this: you need to go where you're treated best. You need to adapt or die, just like incumbents. And if you're not doing that, you are going to be left behind. Now, guys, to cap off this video for today, that exact sentiment is echoed in this Raoul Pal interview he had on Impact Theory. And I want all of you to listen to people smarter than me and you on what the best thing to do for your financial future is. Now, I hope you heed this warning, as American innovation is under threat. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
The UK says, forget it, we'll do it. It became what's known as the Eurodollar market, which is the overseas market for dollar borrowing and lending. That becomes we don't know the size of it, but let's call it a $400 trillion market.
Whoa.
And then the US, then we get this big breakthrough in derivatives. The US has got the Chicago Board of Trade doing futures and options and all of this stuff. But we start to figure out more complicated structures, things like swaps. And the US stops its banks doing it by its use of regulatory capital. They're like, no, this is inefficient. You can't do this. The UK and Europe went, well, we're going to regulate and allow it to happen because it's big. We've seen this before. That becomes a quadrillion-dollar market.
Jesus.
That's why every single bank from about 1985, well, particularly after the Big Bang in London, so let's call it from about 1990 to about 2008, 2010, all the major banks' largest operations were London. So Goldman Sachs' biggest operation, most profitable, London. Merrill Lynch, London. Merrill Lynch is different because it was a brokerage firm. But JP Morgan, they were all London. So London, if you've been watching the news, is going to do the same thing. It's called regulatory arbitrage. London is putting together a very sensible set of crypto rules, as has Europe, as has Switzerland, as has Singapore, as has Hong Kong, as has Australia. Okay, there's its old trading group that it did with Eurodollars and it did with derivatives and it did with foreign exchange, all got their regulations in place. The UK is the hub at the middle, and it will capture the lion's share. And before you know it, Coinbase, Gemini, and everybody will move to London.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, Blackrock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors? Former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany? Former business director at Swift? Former Swift board member? Former CFO of PayPal? Former head of the DTCC? Former chief business officer at Uber? Former VP of Amazon and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.